Today's episode is sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and NC Football Connections.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Offseason 365 podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all platforms to stay updated with the latest episodes, coaching insights, and football conversations. Follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, X. Thank you for listening and being a part of our Offseason 365 community. Today, we have a special guest. We have Coach Jacob Cain, tight ends, running back, kickers coach at Northwest Cabarrus High School in Concord, North Carolina. What's up, Coach? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, Coach. Thanks for asking. So before we get to today's talking point, climbing the coaching ladder, which is always a popular topic on our show, give our listeners a quick snapshot of your career journey to this point.
So I'm a Rowan County kid. So I played some local ball at Carson High School, and kind of stopped playing. And so one of my oldest brothers actually coaches football as well. He was, spent some time at the D2 level. Now he coaches an indoor team in Nebraska. So, he kind of got me into it at a young age. So I started coaching with Coach Hoover over at Cain High School in Concord.
Nice.
I was kind of helping out with him, doing the special team stuff. He's an amazing guy to work for, giving me the opportunity at such a young age. So I took some time off after that year and then was blessed to have an opportunity to work with Coach Chris Walsh at South End High School. He gave me my first real opportunity, and he kind of bounced me around a little bit. I tried to fit in when I could, being as young as I was, because I was 19 at that time, kind of fitting in. Was there with him for a season, and then bounced out of there and went to East Rowan with Coach John Fitz, who is an amazing offensive-minded coach. He's taught me so much on offense, special teams, and kind of was able to pick up. And then, unfortunately, some stuff happened, and I then moved into transition at Northwest Cabarrus with Coach Mormon, who he has taken me under his wing and just showed me everything I need to know. So I'm going into my third year there. So, this is year 6 for me, and
nice.
It's great being a part of a program where it's a good program to be a part of. You're building something out there. It's a culture thing. It's when you're in Trojan country, it's a whole different person. And being with the staff we have, some amazing guys. Coach Mormon, he's one of the best coaches I've known my whole life. And we have a great offensive line guy, and our wide receivers guy is a great guy. And defensively, our staff is a very interesting bunch, and they get after it for us. So they help us make it easy on offense, and it's a great thing to have.
Nicely stated, Coach. Well, John, well done on making it this far.
I appreciate it.
Stay the course, man, and everything else will take care of itself in due time. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get to it. Climbing the coaching ladder. So let me ask you this: what motivates you? What motivated you to get into coaching? And what has your journey been like as an assistant coach?
Well, like I said, having a brother that's already in that profession, because he was coaching with me at Cain, and, it helps. It really gets it. But football was something that was huge in our life. My whole family played. I was blessed to have 3 older brothers, and, 2 of them played. So, being around football your whole life, you love it. And, especially when Sundays come on and football is on, and you have that, it makes you want it. And, unfortunately, I was not the gifted athlete of the family, but I loved football. I look at it as a different way. I'm very high energy. So, I just wanted to get into something that I love, and being a part of that, and being a part of, pushing to want that and to get to that goal. And, my ultimate goal is to be a college head coach someday. But, starting right now, the motivation is just, I love the game. I love the passion. I love just the evolution of the game. It used to be run heavy. Now it's pass heavy. Now it's this. Now it's that. So, it's just ever changing. You never know what you're going to get week in and week out. And game planning and scheming, it's all great things to have. It really tests your mind.
Very, very true statement. So what steps have you taken to position yourself for greater responsibilities within your program? For example, I see that you're working with multiple position groups. What did you do to position yourself to welcome more responsibility in your
So
program?
ultimately, I've tried to build that relationship and trust with Coach Mormon. He's kind of been able to throw me in spots to just let me be able to help and be able to succeed for him and make the program, the program we are. When I first got in, I was just a tight ends guy. And then unfortunately we had some stuff change and I had to transition to running backs. And, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know every single thing about every position on the field, but, I try to make sure a great young coach told me, be a sponge, soak up everything you can as a coach. And so, I work very closely with Coach Mormon. He's constantly helping me, constantly giving me responsibilities to take off his plate. Being the head guy, he's got thousands of things he's got to do. And, I just try to take everything off of him one step at a time. If it's painting the field or shutting down for lockdown duty, whatever we got to do, I want to be there to help him. He has a family, and I try to help him take that off of his plate so he can spend more time with his family.
Wise wisdom. How have networking and professional relationships impacted your coaching career and opened doors for new opportunities?
So networking has been very interesting and hard for me at the same time. I struggle sometimes to network very well, but I've been trying to pick that up. Coach Mormon and I were talking a couple years ago about trying to get me on as an internship when I took my 2 years off after I left Cannon, and was trying to build that, but timing just didn't work out with me when I went to college, and then I kind of bounced around a little bit in some Marion County schools, which I'm blessed for those opportunities. But finding that fit with Coach Mormon and being able to continue to build that relationship with him has really networked me for that spot, and I just kind of bless that every day for the opportunity he's given me.
And I'll add on to that. And I think, you and I connecting. I mean, you reached out and you was interested in being a part. And because of that, you've learned another coach in the game and vice versa, and that's just how it go. We go to coaching clinics, you use social media, you go to 7-on-7s. Like what you're going to realize very, very quickly is that for the most part, we're all on the same team. We all want to get better. We all share the same issues, the same successes. And as long as you're in this profession, that's pretty much how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what challenges have you faced while trying to advance in the coaching profession, and how did you overcome them? You touched on a few of them, but were there any other challenges that you faced to overcome?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I was in some programs where, like I said, blessed for the opportunity, but we struggled in some tough conferences. Cannon being a private school, it was tough going in and playing some of them tougher schools. And, even here at Northwest, playing Ashbrook last year, who was, one of the top teams in the 6A division, a couple other schools in our conference that are pretty tough.
Yes.
Overcoming that with trying to overcoming the losing part of early in my career to being able to have a little bit more success, here at Northwest, and just overcoming a little bit of that adversity. And then on top of that, being young, it's very challenging at certain moments, with the kids who might not want to listen or something like that, because you're not much older than them. I just turned 24, so I'm usually the youngest guy on the staff where I'm at, and so it's trying to prove yourself every day, like, hey, you got this. You deserve to be here. Coach Mormon sees something in me. So, that drives me to know, hey, I'm in the right spot where I need to be.
And and I will say this, we've all been there. We've all, anyone that's in coaching, all been there. Started off at the bottom, surrounded by experienced coaches, just want an opportunity. And based off of what you're sharing with me, you're doing the best with your situations. And there's going to be a matter of time before you're one of the oldest coaches on the staff, man. And all this wisdom that you stacked up over the years, you can go back and share it to the young bucks. Hey, dog, I remember I was you at one point in time. It's
very interesting.
Yeah. So since you're talking about professionally, how do you continue to grow professionally while balancing coaching, family, or even other responsibilities?
I just kind of try to set time aside for everything. So outside of coaching, I teach an elementary school PE, and I love that. It's a different in the ages, and it kind of gives me time where I'm not solely focused on football, and being around family is something I'm huge with. I always talk to my brothers. I always talk to my family. They are, big supporters in my life. Like I said, fortunately, I was able to grow up 20 minutes outside of Cabarrus County. So, it's great to have that when, you get the support when they come to the games, or, with my brother in Nebraska, he tunes in and watches all of our games on NFHS. And, we all support each other. We traveled to Omaha a couple weeks ago to watch him coach, and, having that support system with my family, it's a blessing. They've pushed me ever since I was a kid, and they always told me, you got an interest in mind, use it in your creative ways. And, and Coach Woolman's taking full advantage of that. I'm the energy guy on our staff. I bring that every game, and I celebrate with the kids. I have the fun, because somebody's got to do it. You got to be a part of that, and I love doing that. That's who I am. I'm a high energy guy, and I love being a part of the program.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, before I let you go, Coach, if you can go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you first became an assistant coach, what would it be?
Got to be patient. You got to stick with it. Don't take everything to heart. Sometimes the coach can call you out on it, and you just got to be able to accept it. I struggle with that still. I'm my hardest critic. So I take it as I'm getting called out and I need to do better at my job. And, it happens every day. And sometimes you just got to take it with a grain of salt and just keep moving forward and keep, being that person you want to be, being there for the kids and changing the program, being a culture person.
Nicely stated. And in free game, and this was passed on to me from previous head coaches who I worked for. Be the assistant coach that you want to someday hire, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it like that, you'll understand. Because at the end of the day, let's say that you're the head coach, right? You want to be successful, you want to win, your name is on it. What type of coaches are you bringing to the table, right? So just make sure that you're that coach that you want to someday hire, and everything else will take care of itself. So it's a nicely stated, Coach. Well, thank you for listening to the Offseason 365 podcast. I'm Coach Simmons here with Coach Cain, and we signing off.
Today's episode is sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and NC Football Connections.